So you've probably seen many traders online, prop firm traders, who are able to make so much money trading with prop firms. They get consistent payouts. Then when it comes to actually live trading, the results are very different. And they aren't able to produce a track record. They aren't able to trade their own accounts. And they're only able to trade with prop firm capital. And in this video, I'm going to break down how there are traders out there who can be really good at trading with prop firms, but not very good at trading personal accounts. And I'm not here to say that this is a bad thing, but I think that people should be more honest about what they're actually doing to make their money. If I was selling a course saying, this is how I make money long term from trading, but then my strategy was trading prop firms, high risk and everything like this, then it probably wouldn't be the best form of advertising, because people wouldn't get in the course what they would actually expect from the original advertising in the first place. So I'm going to break down some stats for you first before we get into the video, and it just gives you a good idea of how this is actually possible and how the difference can be so massive in terms of profit actually made. And when I'm saying that traders can make money from prop firms but not on live accounts, I mean this in terms of percentage. So they could be down a certain amount on a live account taking the exact same trades on a prop firm, but on the prop firm they've actually made money and they made pounds into their bank account. So they are technically profitable traders on prop firm accounts, but not on the live markets on personal capital. So we're going to use 100k accounts for the example, and we're going to assume that they only pass and get a payout on 1 out of every 10 challenges they actually take. So let's assume 10% of all challenges they take, they pass and get a 10% payout. That's the example we're going to use for this video. Obviously, if you are risking, 3, 4, upwards, near 5% on a challenge, you're going to pass way more than this, but we're going to be very conservative for this example. So let's say the first 9 challenges you actually fail. This is minus 10% because the drawdown on a challenge account is minus 10%. So minus 10% times 9. So they are down minus 90% on their total. So if they took the exact same trades on the prop firm as they would on they take on their personal account, they would be down 90%. And that is just simple maths. And then we also need to think about, okay, they passed 1 and they had a 10% profit payout. So this is 10% for phase 1, 5% for phase 2, 10% on the funded stage. So they made 25% total. That means once you add these together, they're still down minus 65%. So they've traded 10 challenge accounts and they are now down 65%. But this is not the whole picture, because although they're down 65% and on a personal account, they would be down 65% profit wise, what we do need to consider is how much money they've actually made from this. So those same 9 accounts that they've actually failed have an average cost of around £500 per account. And we're going to assume they didn't use any retry offers or any special offers that could bring this number down. We're just going to remain at £500 per account. So this 9 times 500 is £4,500 that they've actually spent on challenge fees. They get one payout of 10%, and this is obviously £10,000. If you then add these together, 10,000 minus the challenge fees of £4,500, we're not going to include the refund because, it technically didn't cost you anything if you get the money refunded anyway. But this leaves us with £5,500 profit. So personal account, you'd be down 65%. And let's say you put £10,000 into a personal account, your account would now be at £3,500. And it would actually be lower because if you lose 50%, you actually have to make 100% to make it back. But we're going to assume you're risking the initial balance in the first place, which you wouldn't do, but we're just going to keep it like that. So you'd be minus 65% on a personal account. And then you have the prop firm capital. You traded with prop firms, you didn't trade the personal account, and you're actually ending up positive by £5,500. So this is a simple explanation on how you can actually trade prop firms as a losing trader and still make money. You've probably seen me say on my channel multiple times in the past that I see prop firms as a business. And this is a great example of how prop firms can be a business to people that have the capital and they're willing to risk their money and risk failed challenges to actually get a payout. Is this the best way to go about prop firm trading? Most likely not. If you are able to receive consistent payouts long term, this is probably going to be more consistent. You don't have massive drawdowns in terms of challenge fees in your bank account. let's say you start with 10K, you're now down £4,500 in challenge fees. It's going to be quite difficult, even though you know that you can pass eventually and make back all those challenge failed fees, but still it can be quite a difficult process. The same as trading in drawdown on a live account. If you're trading in drawdown and you're down £4,500, it's going to be the same concept, but obviously it's harder to make back that money on a personal account than it is with a prop firm, because if you make 5%, that money's made back. If you make 10%, you've doubled your initial investment. So very, very easy way to make back your money if you are able to risk more to actually get these payouts. So now I'm going to talk a little bit about the downside of actually doing this. And one of the main things I've actually seen recently online, I'm not going to mention any firms, but you guys probably know the firms I'm actually speaking about if you are active on the prop firm social media pages. But firms are limiting your risk. Some traders will pass a challenge, they'll get onto the funded stage, and they will be capped at 1% risk. This is okay for the average trader. But if you're a trader that is trying to use high risk strategies and you're using prop firms as a business, then it can be quite annoying, especially on challenge phases if this does apply to those as well. I've traded with accounts where I'm trading on a copier and I didn't check the rules on one of the firms. Oh, it has a max 1.5% risk. Again, if you have checked the rules, this can be fine. But if you are trying to use higher risk trading strategies or higher risk management on your account, it can be quite difficult. So you can't really use high risk anymore. If you go back on my channel to 2 or 3 years ago, this was kind of the main way people were passing challenges, the main way people were getting large payouts. And I was a person that was actually doing that too. I had my biggest days whilst risking 2% on an account. I made $50,000 in a day, risking 2%. So I had a 500K account, I made a 1 to 5, and that ended up being $50,000. But now if I'm limited to 1% risk, that 50K day would now only be 25K. And then once you account for all the profit splits, the tax, the currency conversion, you're not really left with a lot after making all of that profit, which people don't really consider. So it's all good saying you make 5,500 per 10 accounts, but there are going to be instances where you have to pay tax. You have to look at the currency conversions. You have to look at the profit splits. So it obviously isn't exactly £5,500, but it can be quite a lot lower. And then it is questionable whether it is worth it or not. And also, I've always preached about diversifying with multiple different firms. And this can be, again, quite difficult if you are trying to trade multiple different accounts or going through lots of accounts in the process of getting these large payouts. The reason being, they have different rules. They have different accounts. They have different systems of actually doing things. And let's say you are relying on that one good trade every week or every month to actually pass these challenges. What if that account is delayed giving you the credentials? What if you miss the trade? Again, the whole concept of your trading is out of the window. I know a lot of people online that trade like this, and granted, they're probably making good money, because if you actually get a decent sized payout, it can wipe out months and months and months, if not years, of failed challenges. I'll put it into perspective with my trading. Having made over, I think it was $54,000 in one day trading with prop firms, if you do the maths on this, on an average 100K account, I could fail over 100 accounts and still be positive cash-wise. So I made $50,000 from one day, $500 per account, times that by 100. Am I likely to fail over 100 challenges? Absolutely not. So it means if you actually have good periods in the markets and good periods with prop firms, it kind of does give you an advantage, a cash advantage, as well as a psychological advantage, because you're going into it knowing that if I fail this challenge, I'm not in the red. I actually have many, many chances to actually pass this challenge. I would always say to people, if they are getting into prop firms, trade it slowly. There's no need to rush to pass, because for the vast majority of people watching this video, you're not going to have tens of thousands of pounds sitting around ready to deploy into prop firm challenges and trading like the way I mentioned at the start of the video. You're going to want to trade it slowly, use your profits to scale up the account, go to a larger prop firm, and then do the same again until you are at max allocation with multiple firms, because that will give you multi 6 figures, if not multi 7 figures of capital to trade with. Then if you're risking 1% per trade, you make a 1 to 3. If you're trading with $1 million in capital, that's $30,000. If you're able to scale this up to $2 million, that is then $60,000 from one 1 to 3 risk to reward trade. And again, this is always better if you are able to do that consistently than relying on failing multiple challenges, and then getting one big payout. Something to think about for you guys watching this video.